If I asked you what ketchup is made from, you'd probably answer tomatoes. And honestly, that seems obvious. It's red, it tastes like tomatoes. The bottle literally shows tomatoes. Case closed, right? Well, not exactly. Because the original version of ketchup didn't contain a single tomato. In fact, it wasn't even vegetarian. The ancestor of modern ketchup was made from fermented fish guts. And somehow, that bizarre sauce traveled across oceans, changed identities multiple times, became a fake medicine, survived a food safety nightmare, and eventually turned into the sweet red condiment sitting next to your fries. Which raises a strange question. If ketchup started as fish sauce, how on earth did we end up here? Let's break it down. When people hear the word ketchup today, they imagine burgers, fries, hot dogs, and backyard barbecues. But if you traveled back over 1,000 years and asked someone for ketchup, you would get something completely different. No tomatoes, no sugar, and no thick red sauce. Instead, you'd be handed a salty fermented liquid made from fish. And not the fancy parts of the fish. Either, we're talking intestines, stomachs, and fish organs. Basically all the parts modern restaurants try very hard not to show you. The earliest ancestor of ketchup likely came from southern China and Southeast Asia, where fishermen needed a way to preserve food in hot, humid climates. Drying fish wasn't always practical, so people discovered something surprisingly effective. Salt, lots of salt. Fish remains were packed into containers, left to ferment, and eventually transformed into a powerful liquid packed with umami flavor. This sauce became known by names similar to Ketchup. And while that sounds nothing like ketchup today, linguists believe it's one of the roots of the word we still use. The funny thing is that ancient people weren't trying to invent a delicious condiment. They were trying not to starve. Sometimes, the world's most famous foods begin as survival strategies. This is the part that surprises many people. Ketchup isn't originally American, it isn't originally British. And it definitely isn't originally made from tomatoes. Its story is deeply connected to Asian trade routes. As merchants traveled through Southeast Asia, they carried different versions of fermented sauces across ports and shipping networks. Somewhere along the way, the concept reached places that are now Indonesia and Malaysia. And here's where things get even more interesting. The word kecap that many Indonesians know today may actually share part of the same linguistic family as ketchup, which means there is a strange possibility that one of America's most iconic condiments has roots connected to a word still used daily in Southeast Asia. History loves irony. The product became globally famous, but most people forgot where the journey started. Eventually, European traders encountered these fermented sauces during overseas trade, and they loved them.
Nice.
There was only one problem. When they returned home, they couldn't find the original ingredients. Imagine discovering your favorite sauce while traveling abroad, then realizing nobody sells it in your country. So Europeans did what humans always do. They improvised, and honestly, they improvised hard. Instead of fish sauce, they started experimenting with whatever ingredients they had available. Anchovies, mushrooms, walnuts, oysters, beer, wine, and spices. At one point, ketchup wasn't a recipe, it was basically a culinary identity crisis. Everyone was making their own version and calling it ketchup. Some versions looked dark brown, some were nearly black, some tasted earthy, some tasted aggressively salty, and none of them resembled modern ketchup. Imagine handing one of those bottles to a modern fast food customer. They would probably assume something went terribly wrong in the kitchen. Now comes one of the strangest chapters in the story. Because the ingredient that defines ketchup today was once feared. For centuries, many Europeans believed tomatoes were dangerous. Some even believed they were poisonous, which sounds ridiculous now, but from their perspective, it wasn't completely irrational. Tomatoes belong to the same plant family as several toxic plants, and wealthy Europeans kept mysteriously getting sick after eating them. So naturally, they blamed the tomato, except they were wrong. Modern historians believe the real culprit wasn't the tomato at all, it was the plate. Many wealthy people ate from pewter plates containing high levels of lead. The acidity of tomatoes could pull lead from the plates, causing poisoning. The tomato got framed for a crime it didn't commit. Meanwhile, poorer people eating from wooden bowls had no problem at all. Imagine spending centuries being called poisonous because someone else's plate was toxic. Tomatoes deserve an apology. Eventually, attitudes began to change. In the early 1800s, American cooks started experimenting with tomatoes in ketchup recipes. But here's another surprise. The first tomato ketchup wasn't sweet. It wasn't thick, and it definitely wasn't the flavor you know today. Some early recipes contained tomatoes, spices, salt, and even brandy. In other words, modern ketchup hadn't been invented yet. It was still evolving, like a prototype slowly searching for its final form. Now, here's where the story takes another unexpected turn. Because sometime during the 1830s, ketchup briefly escaped the kitchen and entered the world of medicine. An American doctor named John Cook Bennett became convinced that tomatoes offered impressive health benefits. He promoted tomato-based products as treatments for digestive issues, joint pain, and several other illnesses, and surprisingly, many people believed him. The idea spread quickly across America, turning tomatoes into one of the era's hottest health trends. Before long, companies started producing tomato pills and marketing them as miracle remedies. If that sounds familiar, it's because every generation seems to have its own version of a miracle cure. The problem was that once money entered the picture, questionable products followed. Some manufacturers sold pills containing little tomato, while others made claims that stretched reality. Eventually, public trust began to fade as those promises failed to hold up. The tomato medicine craze slowly disappeared, and ketchup returned to doing what it does best, sitting next to French fries instead of prescription bottles. Now let's talk about the truly disturbing part. The ketchup sold during the late 19th century wasn't always safe. Not even close, factories faced a problem. Tomatoes are seasonal, consumers wanted ketchup year-round. So manufacturers stored tomato pulp for long periods under poor sanitary conditions. The result? Spoilage, mold, bacteria, rot. And instead of fixing the problem properly, many companies tried to hide it. Some added chemical preservatives, others added artificial coloring, some used ingredients that modern food safety regulations would never allow. The bright red bottle people trusted often hid a much uglier reality. This is the point where ketchup stopped being a funny food story and started becoming a public health issue. Just when you think the story is over, history throws one more twist at us. In the Philippines, people created banana ketchup. Yes, banana ketchup, and somehow it works. During periods when tomatoes were expensive and difficult to obtain, food scientist Maria Orosa developed an alternative using bananas, vinegar, sugar, and spices. The sauce was naturally brownish yellow, but consumers expected ketchup to be red, so manufacturers dyed it red, which means many people were eating banana ketchup that looked exactly like tomato ketchup. History really enjoys confusing people. So when you look at a bottle of ketchup today, you're not looking at a simple tomato sauce. You're looking at centuries of migration, trade, experimentation, misunderstanding, marketing, science, and survival. It started as fermented fish, crossed oceans, became mushroom sauce, survived tomato paranoia, turned into medicine, endured food safety disasters, and eventually became one of the most recognizable condiments on earth. The strange part is that most people never question it. We just squeeze it onto food and move on. But maybe that's what makes food history so fascinating. The things we see every day often have the wildest stories. Now you know the real story. But here's a question: if you could try only one historical version of ketchup, the original fish gut ketchup, the mushroom ketchup, or the banana ketchup, which one would you actually taste first? Let me know in the comments.